Okay, let me get my recorder going here. And I'm going to get into the sponsors. So we just talked a little bit about, we just did our networking through all that, going to the sponsors. But before that, I always like to pay homage to, this is in memory of Gene Greeno. And Gene was instrumental in the founding of the REL Academy, the REL National Association, and he introduced thousands of people, including me, to the model of the residential style assisted living. His motto was do good and do well. I want to remind everybody to drop a link into or put your information into the little chat screen there. You can take a look at our website here. All of our events are recorded. So top right there where it says events, you'll see the recordings of this and every other meeting that we've done. And if you're in Colorado, and let's see, I know we had somebody here that was wanting to get started here in Colorado. So on our Facebook or on our website, which is dollar.com, I think that's right up there, dollar.com. In Colorado, you want to click on that helpful links on that page because we have shortcuts to all of the links that you need to know, particularly the Chapter 7 and Chapter 2. These are the rules in Colorado. You need to know these like the back of your hand if you run a facility here. There's also other good information in this website, so even if you're not in Colorado, you might find something helpful. And please join our Facebook page, Denver ALR. And we thank everybody that signed up on Meetup. It helps us understand who's coming, what to expect. And if you do sign up on Meetup, you do get announcements of every single meeting that we do, because this is the first place they are posted. And let's see. Next, our sponsors. And as I go through these, we start off with the assisted living mansion. This is Brett Chakavis, and Brett has put together a really nice program for a high-end 16-bed model. And also on his website, it's a great collection of training videos that are geared mostly to the experienced operator. So if you navigate to palm.university, you can get more information about that. And then there's the RAL National Association, and this is the largest free association for RAL businesses. All of the resources are available to you for free. Corporations and sponsors are lining up to partner with them so they can reach their 30,000 plus homeowners across the nation, giving exclusive pricing on products and services, and the homes are already paying for. And there's training, education, and legal services and advocacy. So you can go to www.ralna.com for that. And if you are new to assisted living, then I highly recommend the RAL Academy. We have a link on this to this on our website. And this is basically basic training for assisted living. So if you're new to this space, you definitely want to go here and learn from these guys. They will teach you everything you need to know to get started. For marketing, we recommend assisted living marketing with more than a decade of experience. They have customized services that work for small, large, and multi-location communities. Assisted living marketing is your trusted partner for digital and print marketing in the assisted living industry. They're great at doing websites. Peter Brissett has done a lot of websites for me. Just built my newest website for our ABW Senior Investments last week. I called him up and said, "Can you knock this out fairly quickly?" And he did. So, he's been very responsive, which I haven't found with most of those website guys. And then there's Senior Care Administrator Coaching. This is Janet Cornell, and her website is scac-janet.com. And Janet provides consulting for your assisted living home. Also, she can provide the 40-hour administrative training here in Colorado, staff training and employee file compliance and compliant documents. One thing she does that's really, really cool here in Colorado is mock surveys, where she'll come and do a survey as if the state was doing it, and she'll tell you everything that's wrong. And considering the state can fine you up to $10,000 for a bad survey, and I think that's per incident for immediate jeopardy. So they don't always charge you 10 grand, but they can. She's way cheaper than the state. So, pay her to come through, do a mock survey, and then when the state comes through, you'll pass with flying colors. And then there's Colorado Recon. I actually just spoke at their event on Saturday, and Colorado Recon is Colorado's deal-driven real estate investor network. Members get Colorado-specific tools and training, expert support, vetted referrals, and discount local events across the Front Range to help investors close more deals and faster. And if you're interested in this, you can go to coloradorecon.com. And next we have Colorado's assisted living lawyers, and I call them Colorado because they're in our backyard, but they do this work nationwide. They help developers and operators of assisted living and group homes locate and establish their facilities so they can focus on the business of caring for people. They will act as your advocate or work with you or your local council, if you're not in Colorado, to encourage compliance with Fair Housing Act provisions. That's PinkowskiLaw.com. Wonderful people as well. If you have any questions about assisted living law, they are the ones to go to. One of my favorite groups, ABW, A Better Way Funding. And basically, we do lease options. This is one of the groups I'm associated with. We do lease options for group homes. You can find out all about it at ralleaseoptions.com. We've helped many operators double and triple their portfolios. And we've got an operator that we helped grow from 2 homes to 24 homes. So go to the ralleaseoptions.com if you're interested in growing. And this is our newest group, ABW Senior Investments. This is our investment side of that business. And right now, we did recently did a deal in Greenwood Village that is fully subscribed, and we're closing one at the beginning of March in Lake Havasu, and that one is fully subscribed. We're underwriting a couple of other deals, so if you're interested in investing with us, you can give us a call or check out our website, and you can reach me at that number if you'd like to chat. And while I'm plugging myself, I'll also plug my broker side, the business broker side, Grand Avenue Business Brokers. I've got over 30 years of business experience. I've done well over 80 assisted living transactions, which was over 100 million. I think we're about 130 at this point. I am a certified business intermediary. And I am also a certified senior housing investment professional. And guess what I specialize in? And we've had a lot of activity. We just closed that 24-bed in South Denver. We've got under contract 60 beds in Arizona and 16 beds in Northwest Denver. We closed a lot of deals last year, so that's what I've been doing. So, news from CALA, the Colorado Assisted Living Association. Rachel, I'm going to ask if you want to tell us what's going on with CALA.
I'm the president-elect for Colorado Assisted Living Association, and we are constantly, I'm meeting while we're doing this. We're really kind of on board with trying to bring better programming, and this could be for anybody. It could be out of state, in the state of Colorado, but really we're keeping an eye on legislation that's happening. I know Medicaid has been big for a lot of us and taking a hit with the percentage, and I think it's going to get up to about 2% here this year total from our cut last year. So we have a team that's following that with legislation. And then we have a conference that's coming up in April. Again, we welcome anybody who's from Colorado or out of state, and we're doing a conference that is ingredients for excellence in assisted living. And we are going to talk about food. We're going to talk about best practices, how sleeping can impact our residents, activities that bring joy and happiness to our buildings, and just like overall the ingredients of what makes an awesome assisted living. And that's really what we're going to be focused on. And that's on April 29th in Thornton, Colorado. Again, if you're wanting to travel to Colorado, it'd be a great conference just to network and gain insight and ideas to the assisted living industry. A lot of us bring many, many, many years of experience, and we just love to kind of network with one another. And we have a comedian who's going to end our conference that we booked for our conference this year, and we're really excited to have her. So can't tell you who it is. We're gonna do teasers to get everybody excited about the conference. But anyway, yeah, and you could just follow us. I'll put our website on there, which Peter did also update for us. And Peter is great. We really, really love all the work that he's done for us in creating and updating our website. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions that you have with running your homes.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
And if you want to put that conference in the chat, that would be probably helpful if anybody wants to look into that. And again, I want to remind everybody, the chat is your virtual business card. So put your information in there, who you are, where you're from, your phone number, your email. And at the end of the meeting, you can actually go in there and download that as a text file. So you'll have the contact information of everybody that you met here tonight. Okay, so I'm kind of caught up a little, just a minute behind. I got caught up a little bit. So I was on Facebook. I was paying attention to what's going on there, and Leslie Olvera had put a post up about uh, finances in assisted living. And I'm telling you what, I've had so many people ask me if I know a good accountant. And I've seen so many bad sets of books. You know, I do underwriting on these things, and I see bad sets of books so often. It's terrible. So I reached out to her and asked her if she would come and talk about this subject for you guys. So let me introduce to you and hand over the screen to Leslie Olvera. Give her a round of applause, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm Leslie from Wise Balance Accounting, and we are really excited to be here with you tonight. First, we'll tell you a little bit about us and about our firm, and then we'll talk about some financial strategies that are especially beneficial for assisted living operators. So first, I will get my information in the chat here, and I have a presentation to share with you. There it is. Okay. So, Wise Balance Accounting is an accounting and advisory firm that my husband Daniel and I started a few years ago. And we wanted to create an accounting firm that does more than just process transactions and file taxes at the end of the year. We really want to partner with business owners and help them plan for the future so that they can make informed business decisions that help them reach their goals. I've personally been doing accounting and financial management for over 20 years. During that time, I've worked closely with business owners and their teams in various industries and various stages of growth. So I've been able to see what works and what doesn't. So I will let Daniel then tell you a little bit about himself and our accounting philosophy.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel. I'm Leslie's husband. First of all, thanks for having us. I really enjoy listening to all you guys. You have a natural curiosity about your industry in a collaborative sense that I really appreciate. So it's really nice to be here. I'm a licensed tax professional with a background as a financial advisor. And then I've also owned multiple businesses and continued businesses for the last 24 years. One of our passions, Leslie and I, is helping businesses succeed. We appreciate that all businesses are backed by real people that have real goals, and they put a lot on the line in order to accomplish that. And in our experience in accounting, they don't always get the support that they deserve. And it's kind of our passion to fix that. The fact is, our businesses, they talk to us through their numbers. Our job as accountants is to organize and translate that so that you have better information to make decisions with. Assisted living facilities have some really unique challenges. Your business has a lot of elements in it. If there's a service element, real estate, restaurant, medical, just to name a few, and then, of course, regulatory. And then on top of all of those concerns, you have to worry about the business itself, right? The financial side of the business that ultimately supports everything else within it. So with this many elements in place, there's really a lot of opportunities for things to get overlooked that could be hurting your business, holding it back, or it could be setting up little landmines that might pop off in the future and have some really difficult circumstances come about. So we believe it's really important to have a financial system that supports these realities and that can guide your business plan on a daily basis. So that's why, so when we do that, we can take these liabilities, identify them, and actually turn them into assets to strengthen your business. And that's actually really especially true when it comes to things like payroll. We'll get into that a little bit later. But first, let's talk about year-end reports. Now, all too often, business owners in all industries treat their finances like an afterthought, something that they need to scramble and get done by the end of the year. But by then, it's really too late to make any real progress. You might think of it, your finances kind of like baking a cake. All year, you put things into a mixing bowl, you stir it up, you put it into the oven, and once it comes out, that's it. The cake is baked. There's nothing you can do to change it. You might be able to cover over some things, you might be able to offset some things, but ultimately, the substance is locked in. So the same thing can happen in our businesses when we ignore our finances or don't pay close enough attention. Unintended consequences get baked into our business, and then we're left with a mess that we're trying to correct at the end. Financials that are misunderstood or aren't given the weight that they can hold often lead to decisions, miscalculation, poor timing, and missed opportunities. And the result is that you can start feeling like you're always putting out fires in your business. You can start to hyperfixate on things like revenue generation, and ultimately the business will start to stagnate and even decline. So believe it or not, though, accounting plans can help with this. Now, we know that a lot of businesses have some kind of functional accounting plan in place. But typically, we find that those plans aren't really focused on the business's goals and don't really take in every bit of consideration that that business is really dealing with. It's not really well matched to that business. So one way of thinking about that is you might imagine somebody who's working out and they're in the gym and they're working out their arm just over and over and over, but they're not working out anything else. So what happens with that? Well, they get one big arm while the rest of their body becomes tired and starts to atrophy. Well, the same thing can happen in our business. Often we have an area that we're very strong in and we work that over and over and over again, but we don't balance the whole thing. So eventually what happens is that strength in that arm isn't strong enough to cover over all the other weaknesses that the business has formed. And unfortunately, sometimes that leads to going out of business. So it's our goal to really help keep those things from happening. We have this book that we wrote that highlights some of the most basic parts of that and helps businesses, especially in the assisted living space, get to a place of long-term success. So I'll let Leslie go ahead and introduce that.
Okay. So assisted living and senior living, we know it's an industry that really matters. And so that's why we wrote our ebook. That's 5 financial strategies for senior living operators to increase profit and cash flow. It's a mouthful. I will make sure that each of you gets the link to the ebook for free today, and I'll put it in the chat when we're done with the presentation. But the guide outlines 5 financial strategies that help assisted living and residential care operators strengthen their foundation increase their cash flow, and protect the long-term health of their business. And we believe that by applying these principles consistently, you can reduce stress, improve performance, and refocus your energy on what matters most. So tonight we're going to walk through the principles behind these strategies. And I will start with strategy number 1, which is optimize occupancy and service mix. So let's talk about occupancy. You guys all mentioned concerns about occupancy before we started here, and occupancy drives everything. It's the heartbeat of your assisted living business, right? So every available bed or room represents potential revenue, but profitability doesn't just depend on being full. Even if your facility is operating at 100% occupancy, you could still lose money if the resident mix, the service levels, or the pricing structures aren't aligned with your true operating costs. So you need to understand not just how many residents you have, but what kind of residents, what services do they use, and how do those services impact your margins? So there's a couple of key ways to do that, and we're going to break them down a little bit. First is to know your break-even point. So your break-even point, that's your baseline. The number of residents and combination of service levels that's required to cover all your fixed and variable expenses. And in order to know, excuse me, in order to know what that point is, you have to break down your expenses into real categories. So you have your fixed costs, and those are the ones that show up whether the building is full or half empty. And then you have your variable costs, and those change as your occupancy and your care needs change. Those are expenses like staffing, food, and supplies. And when you know clearly what all of those expenses are, you can calculate what that break even looks like for your business. And then you get to use that information as a benchmark to guide decision making about pricing, staffing, and capacity planning. So for example, if occupancy dips below your break-even level, it might be a signal to reevaluate your marketing or referral efforts. I'd love to hear about all of your marketing efforts and the different aspects that you guys use. But if you're consistently above that break-even point, you might have room to expand your services or invest in facility improvements or additional facilities even. And the point is that when you know your numbers, you can anticipate rather than react. So the next point is to align care levels with pricing. One of the most common financial leaks in assisted living comes from misalignment. And that means that the level of care doesn't provide, or the level of care provided doesn't line up with what's being charged. So this could happen kind of sneakily. Facilities might underbill for residents who need more hands-on care. Staff might be stretched to cover those higher needs without anyone realizing how quickly those extra hours add up. And to fix this, you have to take a real look at your pricing. So you need to ask, does each level of care actually cover the time, the staffing, the supplies that it requires? And then you can create something like tiered service levels with clearly defined expectations. And that's beneficial not just for you, but also for your residents and their families, because they gain transparency and they can trust you because they know exactly what they're expecting and exactly what they're paying for. In addition, your team can have clearer expectations, and staffing can be planned to support. Sorry, staffing can be planned to support the real needs of the individuals in your facility. And then your business can gain predictable margins and fewer surprises. So the third point is to track and adjust proactively. So even a solid pricing model won't hold up forever. You can't just set it and forget it. Occupancy and care needs change, and sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's all at once. That's why it's important to check in regularly and catch those shifts early. Some simple questions to ask: are certain room types or care levels filling faster than others? Do our rates still reflect what we're paying for staffing and supplies? Are we offering any services that residents don't really use or don't value anymore? Or on the other hand, are there services that people want that we're not currently offering? And these check-ins help you stay flexible, which is very important in our changing market. This approach helps protect your margins before small issues turn into big problems. So what we do with people is we can help analyze your occupancy data, refine pricing, and implement simple monitoring tools so that you can know your break-even point, align your care levels with pricing, and track and adjust proactively. And the benefit of implementing these kinds of systems is more than just margins, but it's helping you to focus on what you do best, running your facility. So I am going to turn over to Daniel to talk about strategy 2.
All right. So payroll. Let's talk about payroll systems and why they're important. Generally, we tend to think of a good payroll system as one that gets checks out on time, right? But really, there's a big difference between running payroll and having a payroll system. A system is going to do more than just get your employees paid. It's going to create insights into your true labor force so that you can see costs and spot hidden liabilities, and even have some of your assets raise up that you can later capitalize on. A few areas of tax are as penalty heavy as payroll missteps. The penalties for these typically compound daily, and so it becomes extremely expensive very, very fast. In fact, failure to deposit penalties that the IRS issues is the #1 penalty that they give to businesses. That penalty can be as much as 100% of the tax that should have been owed. And really bad circumstances, it can even lead to criminal prosecution because the federal government views you as holding money that rightfully belonged to them. And if they don't get it, they see it as an embezzlement. Another sobering fact is that payroll issues are the #1 cause of business failures. So it's really important to have payroll systems that are consistent and accurate. It's impossible to have a business that lasts a very long time if your payroll isn't in good order. Eventually, problems will rise that will force the business to deal with it. The next thing a payroll plan should do is it should help you with employee retention. In senior living facilities, one of the biggest areas of competition is attracting and keeping capable and qualified staff. Competitive pay is essential, but retention also comes from offering benefits that improve the quality of the life of the employees. Flexible scheduling can help with that, healthcare assistance and bonuses. But if budgets are tight, there are non-financial incentives that can be created that will help foster loyalty. Recognition programs and low-cost perks like gym memberships, shift meals can go a long way to keep employees happy. When somebody likes their job, they talk about it, right? And professional employees are attracted to professional places of business. So having a payroll system that helps you actively foster a reputation in your community to be one of the best places to work in your area will not only help you retain employees, but it helps attract the human capital that you need to expand as they tell other people who are in similar work positions about how much they like their job. So it's important to have a payroll strategy that fosters that, because the opposite is also true. If these things aren't accurate, if employees don't feel valued, if there's a lot of turnover, everyone's going to know about it as well. And that can even bleed into your referral business and the overall reputation of your business. So the goal is building a culture of consistency and pride, which always starts with consistency in financial management, that then flows down to all aspects of the business, especially employees and, of course, residents. Accounting supports your workforce. In our practice, we help businesses build payroll plans that help in these 3 big factors: accuracy, efficiency, and retention. So when payroll is accurate, we avoid penalties and turnover, which then contributes to the efficiency that we're fostering. And that efficiency now is available to support the labor force. And with our labor force now well supported, they're more happy. And even the residents can be a little bit more happier. So that results in full beds and a more successful business with less variables. So don't underestimate the power of a smart payroll plan. Leslie read something interesting on here that she wanted to present on this subject.
Okay, yeah. So before we move on to the next strategy, I wanted to share something that I heard recently. I went to a webinar last week that was hosted by Senior Housing News, and one of the panelists shared data from a study by Safely You on the cost of senior care. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this, but what really struck with me with regards to payroll was their data on staff turnover. And they were looking at it through the lens of resident falls, but the numbers actually tell a much bigger story. So they estimated the cost of frontline staff turnover, and this is for just one person, was about $7,000. And for a clinical leader, it was closer to $20,000. So as you can imagine, those turnover costs would really impact your business, and that staffing stability is not just for the quality of healthcare, but for the finances of your business as well. Okay, so next strategy is number 3, maximize reimbursement and billing accuracy. So revenue in assisted living isn't as simple as just collecting monthly rent. It often comes from multiple streams. So you have your private pay, Medicaid or state programs, maybe long-term care insurance, veterans benefits, and I'm sure there are more that aren't coming to mind for me right now, but each of those funding sources has its own rules, documentation requirements, and payment timelines. So even if one link in that chain breaks, if you have a missed submission or a coding error or an untracked payment, that revenue can slip through the cracks. Sometimes on their own, these issues can seem small, but all of that is money that you can't use in your business, and over time it compounds. This can distort your monthly profit numbers. It can make payroll tighter than it should be. It throws off your budgets and your cash projections, and it creates unnecessary stress. So to address this, first we recommend that you create a streamlined billing workflow. That's a system that helps make sure nothing slips through the cracks. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated. A simple standardized billing process prevents confusion and reduces the risk of missed payments. And your workflow should cover things like verification. That's confirming resident eligibility and funding sources even before care begins. That's documentation, maintaining up-to-date care notes that support your billing. Submission, of course, ensuring that bills are sent properly and consistently. And ideally, you want these through electronic systems, things that are traceable. So you can look back and see what happened when. So for instance, if I send an invoice from, say, QuickBooks to a client, I can see when they received it, when they looked at it, how many times they looked at it. So having this digital paper trail helps us to trace back any issues. Some other things that your workflow could include is a reconciliation. So you would want to match every payment received back to its source and period. And then quickly follow up on any outstanding balances, on any delays or denials. So another thing to watch out for is common reimbursement gaps. And that might be things like add-on services like transportation, therapy, or some other special care that doesn't get billed for. There might be those delayed claims or underpayments that go unnoticed. And so by reviewing these areas regularly, you can identify patterns before they become problems. So we want our clients to be able to capture every dollar. So when we work with agencies, we reconcile payments across those multiple funding sources. Implement billing systems that prevent missed revenue. We can simplify your chart of accounts so that your reporting is more clear and actionable, and identify and correct any reimbursement errors. That way you have confidence that the care you're providing is actually being paid for and that your numbers match what's really happening in your business. Okay. Strategy number 4 is reduce overhead through smart vendor management. And Daniel will talk about that for you.
Yeah, consistency is a big part of profitability. Early on we were all talking, some of you mentioned how there was a downtick in the ability to fill beds. Right? There was somebody passed away or somebody moved out, and now there's an inconsistency happening in our business, and it's costing us money. Right? And so that has now resulted in wanting to fix that. Right? Really, what it's highlighting is that inconsistency in our business always affects our margins. It always hurts us. So we want to eliminate that everywhere we possibly can. So one way to do this is in our vendor relationships. Every assisted living facility relies on dozens of vendors. We have our food suppliers, equipment providers, cleaning services, maintenance people, all types of things like this. And over time, these expenses can quietly grow and become unnecessary for your business. So if left unchecked, if not monitored, this starts to, of course, chip away at our margins and takes away any competitive advantage that we might have. So it can start as a couple bucks here or there, an overlooked renewal that we didn't intend to renew. It really can add up, commonly, especially when we're trying to try new digital services. Often we'll try it for a little while. Maybe it'll incorporate into our business, maybe it won't, but maybe it goes off to the side. And then, oh crud, it gets renewed again for another $1,200 this year, and you didn't realize it was happening. So we want to avoid those types of things. Managing these costs means tracking every subscription that we have and making sure that every dollar we spend is measurable, that has a measurable benefit to our business. So there's a couple ways that we can go about doing this. One is to conduct a regular expense review. Start by getting a clear picture of where your money's at now, what your outgo is, and then review your vendor list and expense categories for the past 12 to 6 months. And you're going to look for these trends. One, vendors whose rates have increased without notice, overlapping services that potentially could be consolidated and perhaps gotten at a lower cost. Outdated subscriptions and softwares that you're no longer using or don't add value. Perhaps they've gone obsolete. And then, let's stop there. And then just doing a simple review like this can really reveal a lot of areas to save without you having to take big operational changes, which also adds to the consistency of your business. The second way to do this is to negotiate our vendor relationships. Now, this isn't about going and beating up our vendors on price. Rather, it's about strengthening our relationships with our vendors. So now that we know our costs, you're in a better position to approach your vendors with your needs. So when we do this, we want to focus on building long-term partnerships with better terms. Help them to see that your success and their success are connected, that you can help each other succeed. So here's some starting points for a good negotiation on that. Request multi-year price agreements to lock in predictable rates. A lot of your vendors have the same problem you have. They need consistency. What is that worth to them? If they were to sign up for a 2 or 3 year contract with you on a service that you know you're going to need regardless, at what discount could that be obtained at? Are there times of that throughout the year that you could receive this service that would represent a cost savings to them? For example, exterior maintenance is a big one. A lot of companies that do this kind of work really struggle in the slower winter, colder months, depending on the service they're offering. So what if you were willing to be an off-season client for them? What kind of benefits could you have by doing that? This is a good time to compare quotes from alternative suppliers to ensure that you're getting a competitive price and that you have a good place to start your negotiations from. Vendors in all industries are in the best position to show you where to save. They know their product, they know where the rates are. So take time to get to know them. So make a good relationship with them, schedule a meeting, take a collaborative approach so that you can find suppliers that are willing to streamline for you because they're invested in the business relationship that you have fostered. And in that way, you can start succeeding together. The other way is to have a vendor tracking system. Managing multiple vendor contracts without a system always leads to payment errors and renewals of service that we don't intend to have. And it can really affect our cash flow, especially when there's big sign-up fees. So setting up a simple vendor accounting system can help you by tracking your contract start and end dates. That should be something you're always hyper aware of, and that will also help you time your negotiations. You want to, of course, monitor the total amount you spend per category. That's just part of good bookkeeping. And then you want to set reminders for renegotiations, especially if you end in a spot with your vendor that you're going to try it for a few months. Let's just try this for 3 months and see how it goes, and we'll revisit it. Be prepared for that meeting and understand, have your numbers ready so you understand where your position is. We like to help assisted living operators take really a data-driven approach to expense management. So if you need, we can always analyze vendor costs and provide actionable recommendations to reduce costs in your business without compromising quality. All right, very good. Well, we'll now go ahead to, I think, our favorite topic, number 5, strengthen cash flow and build financial reserves.
Thank you. I brought my water, so my voice starts cracking.
Did we lose her?
Oh my, I think
Oh
so.
no, I think they dropped off.
Oh no.
Well, let's see if we can get her back in. Good stuff, huh?
Oh my God, yes. Do you know how many of us are not doing a lot of this stuff?
I do. I see it all the time.
I bet you do.
Oh man. Uh, well, I'll have to edit this part out of the replay.
Faith, see,
Uh,
this is what happens. People need to have like their everything in place because I have sold my assisted living and it's super important to have all your financials in place and you are on it as far as looking at different locations with financials.
yeah. Okay, Leslie's back. You'll need to reshare, Leslie, and unmute yourself.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so we'll go back to sharing. And that's the one. All right, are we all back up and running? I'm going to keep my water away from the desk now.
Okay, we can see it.
Okay. All right, so cash flow. Daniel's right. This is one of my favorite topics because even if you're using accrual accounting instead of cash basis, revenue on paper is not enough. What really matters is when money comes in and when it goes out. And that timing is what determines whether you can cover payroll, whether you can pay your vendors on time, or even if you can take an income from the business, which is always nice. Inconsistent cash flow or unexpected problems can force you to operate in a constant state of survival mode. And that causes you to make short-term decisions that can undermine your long-term growth. So to avoid that, we have 3 recommendations. 1, identify any cash flow gaps. 2, forecast income and expenses. And 3, build a reserve fund and protect it. So first we'll talk about how to identify those cash flow gaps. You want to start by mapping out your normal cash flow rhythm. When money typically comes in, when those bills go out, and then where things start to get tight. And some common pressure points might be some delayed reimbursements from state programs or insurance companies, occupancy that fluctuates from month to month. You might have large occasional expenses, like maintenance projects or equipment replacement, or annual things that you plan for, or semi-annual, like insurance renewals. And once you can see that pattern clearly, you're no longer reacting. You can plan ahead, you can smooth out your timing issues, and you can take a lot of stress out of those financial surprises. So, about forecasting income and expenses. When you have that information about where your cash comes and goes, you can take that information and create a cash flow forecast. And even a simple rolling 90-day projection can give you visibility into when shortages or surpluses are likely to occur. And a good cash flow forecast should show expected revenue by source, and when those revenues are actually expected to be received. And sometimes that's not necessarily on the due date. So you have inclinations when people are actually going to pay. It should include anticipated operating expenses. That's the fixed and variable expenses that we talked about earlier. Those major costs like insurance, taxes, or renovations. And then when you update this forecast regularly, you'll be able to spot potential issues weeks or even months in advance. And that gives you time to adjust spending, accelerate collections, or delay some non-essential expenses. And then finally, we'll talk about build and protect a reserve fund. So even when the best planning, there are always surprises that come along. And a financial reserve acts as your safety net during lean months or unexpected events. Even setting aside a small amount regularly can make a big difference over time. We recommend that people have reserves equal to 1 to 3 months of operating expenses. Now, saving like this requires a lot of discipline, as does all good financial management. But this kind of discipline creates more than stability. It builds confidence, resilience, and the fortitude to handle challenges without panic or second guessing. Personal development is a huge passion of mine. So doing hard things consistently, that's what actually builds our confidence. It's not avoiding challenges, but knowing that you can face them and come out the other side. So building financial reserves works the same way. It's not just about the money. It's about proving to yourself over time that you can create your margins, you can protect it, you can trust your decisions, even if things don't go perfectly. And so what we like to do to help people is help you assess those potential cash gaps. We can help you create and monitor a cash flow plan, and we can help you to fund and protect a reserve fund. Okay, that is our 5 strategies. So thank you so much for letting me come and speak with you. We really hope that you found something valuable in our conversation today and that it gave you a few ideas that you can take back to your business right away. In addition to posting the link for the ebook in the chat, which I will do as soon as I'm done presenting, we're offering everyone here tonight a free profit and cash flow analysis session. During this, we will help you to review your current accounting and payroll setup. We can walk through your financials together, and we can identify where cash flow pressure might be coming from, where there might be some opportunities to strengthen your business. And there's no obligation here. It's just a conversation that hopefully can help you get clearer on where things stand and what steps you might want to take next. So I will also put the link to our booking calendar in the chat. Yep. Thanks again for spending time with us. And we really want to be able to support you and get to know you however we can. Thanks.
Awesome. Do we have any questions? I'm sure there's got to be some questions.
You talked about maintaining reserves. Do you have like a treasury management type strategy, or are you just putting it in T-bills, or what are you doing with the reserves?
We'll let Daniel talk about that.
Yeah. So it really depends on how your cash flow is. There's a lot of ways to answer that. You certainly can if you want to collect margin off of those reserves. I like cash. It really depends how your business is set up, to be honest. If you never want to put another layer of consequence in front of you to make a good decision for your business, right? So we can always rationalize, if your key bills, if they have an expiration date, you might put off or find another source of funding when you actually need that cash. So there should be a measure of liquidity. If you have a lot of money in long-term savings, a strategy I like, and I recommend this even for retirees, to put a portion. So we'll say in this instance, we put a month in cash. And we're just going to throw it in a money market. Some you're getting a nominal return, hopefully it's keeping up with inflation. Then if you have that 2 to 4 months, yeah, go ahead and put that in treasury or something like that. So that you have some runway. So that as that depletes, you can see it coming. But you don't want to accept a bad position because you need the cash. And you don't want to have to go run and get a loan because you need the cash or swipe a credit card. So it really comes down to how your books are how you've structured things and what your personal equity in the business is. I guess it's as generic as an answer I can get.
No, I just think, and I talked with Vern a little bit about this a while back, but, one of the challenges in the industry is if you're buying an existing asset, you can essentially budget and capitalize for deferred maintenance, but it's pretty hard to aggregate capital fast enough to keep pace with inflation on legacy assets and older infrastructure. And so it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, you hit on something that I'm seeing more and more with businesses, and it's something in my other businesses I implement. Our businesses are great. They often provide our core incomes, but anymore, a lot of businesses are just struggling under these current economic conditions because things are changing so quickly. It's hard to adapt the models. So what I'm seeing are businesses augmenting with essentially the business equivalent of a side gig, right? They've got a little something over here that's helping hedge to support that bigger thing. By themselves, no one of them tends to be super duper efficient, but they do sometimes beat market returns and they sometimes add the diversity. You start viewing your business more like a portfolio than a single entity that you're putting all your eggs in. That can be appropriate in some cases.
Yeah. And like, for example, if you own the real estate and you have the business, and then you can leverage the increased equity in the real estate and then finance that and amortize it, like that strategy works. But
Yeah.
I'm curious if I could ask the group, are most of your intents with your businesses to buy and hold? Do you aspire to sell them? What's the long-term plan for a lot of you?
well, I can answer. I mean, initially it's to buy and hold. However, there is value in aggregation over time as the portfolio grows. But I think it's really just buy and hold.
Yeah, that's good insight. As much as there's a lot of facets to this, we're always learning. So we by no means have all the answers. We're pretty good at finding answers, but we're always looking to learn from your different experiences and circumstances. And then the state regulations, they change so much from place to place that it can add some real factors. So we appreciate you sharing that.
Hi, my name is Fran Richardson. Some
Hi,
of us,
Claire.
some of us, we tend to like, we are very, very busy, busy, busy all the time. And then before you know it, oh, did I get that, check from that client?
Yeah.
Or did that, that difference, did we bill them, that kind of stuff. And then before you know it, and then next month comes, and then it goes again, and the next month comes, and then you like, when you look back and look at your books, what happened, So I think, I would be very, very interested in that, the workshop or the training that you're going to have, especially the cash flow aspect of it.
Yeah, that would
So,
be great.
yeah.
Yeah, so I did put our booking calendar in the chat. That's the Wentz Hub link. And yeah, for sure, schedule some time with me and we can go over some of those things together.
I guess quick question for folks that are either have a portfolio or aggregating a portfolio. Let's say that you had business unit leaders, it's on a larger portfolio. Do you guys have tools or strategies for giving like an executive director a budget and then managing against the budget?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It takes time to form that. Like, it really depends on the state of your books currently. Like, we always have to get the basics in first. We need to know what your elements are. But yeah, we can absolutely do that.
What are you guys seeing in our industry as far as like the biggest what's hard for a lot of the businesses right now that you guys are working with?
From what I'm seeing, it's staffing. Staffing seems to be the one of the highest concerns for most people. In addition, it's that, and you guys mentioned this earlier, people are staying home longer, so they're not going into facilities as early. I think those are the two biggest ones. And then just, all of the changes that we're seeing in legislation and market conditions they're hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
For people.
When you say staffing, are you saying regulations, what we're required to do, the training, the amount of money that it takes to onboard, and then they quit within a month?
Yeah, all of those
Yeah,
things.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just talked to a guy today actually who he was in I always get it's home healthcare, and his business folded. He was part of a franchise, and he was in California. The legislations changed as far as how overtime is calculated, and it completely tanked his business because he couldn't adapt quickly enough to it. And of course, when laws like that change, employees aren't going to wait around for you to recast your model before getting that additional compensation, right? So there's a lot of variables like that, and like I said, state to state. I think it was section 15 of their employee code, workers code changed. Yeah, it happens all the time, these kinds of things. So one of the hedges we have to account for.
Yeah, I do know regulations are constantly changing for employees as well, and how do we adapt and implement some of those changes into our businesses, because it's ongoing and it's quick, and it's like you don't want to be caught. And I have been on an audit from the what is it? The labor, um is it the unemployment board, or I can't remember, but I was audited. So even a
Yeah.
small building like myself, they came, and I'm like, and thankfully everything was organized, but just remember, everybody, you could also be audited, and I was just a small business and I was a target, and thankfully
Yes.
everything was fine.
The highest audit rates. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
We interrupt each
Yeah.
other. But I was gonna say, those surprises, those changes that are costly, that's part of what that sorry, my brain just died.
It's
That
reserve.
reserve, yes, thank you. That those cash reserves are for. It's not just like you have a low occupancy, but also these things come up, and that's part of what your reserves are for.
Yeah. And you mentioned it, like having type books is a really important thing. Employment departments are pretty easy. States are jerks. IRS, a little more reasonable depending on who you get. It can you can be 100% right, especially with the state. We're in Oregon. I always tell people, when you get a letter of audit from those guys, if it's not just in fact, even if it is, you just have to accept that you're already out $5,000. Just accept that, get a good representation, a lawyer if you need, and go in hard. Because those guys will slow walk you into a grave. They're and they're not always doing it correctly. There's often a culture of enforcement, not one of tax education. So you really, yeah. So they're going to go after your books. And if there's anything wrong, they're going to leverage that against you hard. So even if you do everything right, the highest, the people who get taxed or audited the most are single member LLCs, sole proprietors with incomes of around $100,000 to $200,000. That's their
Really?
target. Yeah. Yeah. You have
Oh,
the most to lose. If there's enough going on that there's going to be discrepancies, and you more than likely won't be able to defend yourself. And that's the
That's what they think.
that's what I think. Jerks, like I said. So yeah. That's another good reason to have all this put together for yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Well, that was very good. We appreciate all the insights, and I sure hope somebody takes something out of this.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Feel free to email us if you guys have any questions, anyone else. And like I said, we're always looking to learn. So if you got a challenge, kick it to us. I don't know that I'll be able to, accurately answer right off the bat, but I'll put my brain to it and we'll think about it. And,
Do research.
yeah, we want to at least know for the next person. So yeah, please do.
awesome. Okay, any more questions before we move on and wrap up the meeting? Leslie, Daniel, thank you so much. We really appreciate you presenting tonight. Our last thing is just haves and wants. So this is an opportunity. If you have something you want to present to the group, if you want something from the group, this is an opportunity to do it. Do we have any haves or wants from anybody? No? Okay, then I'm going to remind you that you can go into the chat and download the text there. And the way you do it is down at the bottom. Let's see here. You see, I think it's the third icon from the end, and it looks like a little file folder. So you just click on that, and that allows you to download it to your computer or Dropbox or OneDrive or Google Drive or Box or SharePoint. A lot of choices there, but it's just a text file. So please do that before you leave the meeting, and we will hope to see everybody here next month. I don't know what our meeting is going to be, but thanks for showing up tonight. And thanks again to our presenters. And we will see you all later.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care,
Vern.
guys.
Thank you, Leslie. And what was your name again?
Yeah, Daniel.
Daniel. Thank you, guys. That was really great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Have a good night.
You too.